Darlene, thank you for being on the Spirit Farm podcast.
My pleasure. Happy to be here.
It is great to have you in the home studio.
Yes, it's lovely.
in the desert, and it's hot. It's hot outside.
It's hot. 118.
It got to 118 today.
Yeah, it's
I think.
blazing.
It's really hot. You actually lived in the Valley of the Sun for a while, but it's been a while. You remember it being this hot?
Not often. Not often at all. So once in a while I did get this hot. But I do love Scottsdale, Arizona. It's so beautiful here.
It's a beautiful place. But you live in a beautiful place, Corona del Mar, California.
Thank you. Yes.
That is not rough.
Yes.
That's not rough. That's an awesome deal.
Gorgeous. Yeah.
And you live there, and you own a couple of yoga studios.
That's right.
Radiant Yoga.
Radiant Hot Yoga. Yes.
Radiant Hot Yoga. Tell us a little bit about how you got a passion for yoga.
So let me see. I was always into working out, keeping fit and healthy. I'd be on the cardio machine, that stair stepper thing for like an hour, and
stair stepper for an hour.
Yeah,
that's monotonous.
It's monotonous, and I was always like, working out, with weights, and I liked dance, and I liked all these different things. And, I remember a few people telling me, like, you should try yoga, And I'd kind of look in the window. I'm like, oh, I don't know about that. I was very intimidated by it.
Because people are bending all crazy.
They look like they're doing stuff that my body would never do. And I was super intimidated. So I kind of brushed it off. And I swear probably 25 people asked me, oh, just come to this yoga class with me. Oh, just come and try it. And I just brushed it off. No. So it wasn't something that I even thought about. And people said, well, Darlene, you love to stretch, and you're very spiritual, and like yoga is like a mixture of that. And I still was too intimidated to walk into that room. So a while went by. I don't know how long, but
what are we
years.
Talking? What years? Are people are kind of teasing you with that, trying to draw you in, and you're just not having any of it?
In a couple of years, I kind of put it on the back burner. Never really thought about it again. So. But then I went through some really hard times with my children. I have two beautiful, absolutely beautiful spiritual daughters, Skylar and Savannah. And, we went through a very hard, traumatic time when they were young. And I really, I don't have a lot of family. And so I had to find a way to heal us. And, we went to therapists and counseling, and sometimes we leave and the therapists would be crying, and they basically gave up on my daughters and I. So during this time when I felt like I had, exhausted every avenue, somehow I remember that yoga thing coming up, and I started going to it because I knew that people talked about it really helping you with your mind. And I was like, well, if something can help with my mind with all the amount of stress I'm under. I was losing my mother to brain cancer at the same time, like all these different things, massive amounts of stress. And I was losing my hair. I had alopecia, 2 little girls, single mother, all this stress. And, I started doing the yoga, and my daughters would put my mat near the door. And I would say, like, babies, why do you put my mat near the door? And they said, well, you're so much happier when you go and practice yoga. And they started seeing the difference before I did.
At what age were they at that time?
Like 4 and 6, maybe.
Wow. They're like, Mom, we like you better after yoga. Go to yoga.
They wanted me to go. And my kids are attached to me at the hip still, and they're now 21 years old. But for them to push me out the door, I knew something powerful was taking place. And I knew something beautiful was happening, that whatever was happening on that yoga mat, it was being felt at the home, and my children were feeling it. So it was like, it was an energy that was, the ripple effect of this yoga practice. So I didn't really understand the power that yoga has, the massive amounts of healing that it has, but I started seeing it, like I said. So my daughters first showed me. So then I'd come home and practice with them and teach them little things like meditate and breathe calmly and focus on your heart and let go of things that do not make you happy and joyful, release all of that, and, basic little things. And we would do like cat pose and dog pose and bark like a dog and a cat, and just made it very, childlike.
Kid-friendly.
Yes. Yeah. And it was fun. And I started seeing a difference in them. So the beauty I saw that was unfolding in front of my eyes as I was witnessing these children who basically the state gave up on, they didn't want them to go to public schools, counselors couldn't even, be in the room with them without crying. I noticed that they were healing like exponentially, like on the fast track, just by practicing these little things. And even though I couldn't really even believe that that was happening, we just kept going and kept going. And eventually I devoted my entire life to the path of yoga and the path of healing. That's ultimately what it is a path of healing the body and the mind so you can connect to your beautiful spirit.
Yeah, let's talk more about that. I want to get to the beautiful thing that you've built with Radiant Hot Yoga, and you're doing on demand now online. But take us a little bit further into that healing. You said body, mind, spirit. I think that there's a stigma for some people in the West with yoga still, that they feel uncomfortable with it, or they don't understand it, or they think that it's woo-woo or something else. You've found tremendous healing, body, mind, spirit. I completely relate to you. That's what we're all about. That's what Spirit Farm's all about, is the whole person, body, mind, heart, and soul, and integrating that. That's how God designed us.
Yes.
Talk more about like that kind of healing as you bring those things into alignment, and how yoga helps that happen.
So, the mind will play tricks on you. Many people say, well, I'm not flexible to go to yoga. You don't need to be flexible to go to yoga. Or, many people believe that, you have to have a certain look to go to yoga, or a certain shape. Or people believe that, they're too old, they're too fat, they're too out of shape, they're whatever it is. We tell ourselves all these different stories, right? But the thing is that, the mind, the ego is going to try to hold us back from healing at times, from deep, deep healing, because it's scary. Letting go of our stories that we hold on to because it gives us an identity is scary to let go of. And yoga is this beautiful light that when you start doing these yoga postures, so I want you to think about like a deep internal massage. When you go get a massage place, they massage your muscles. Mm-hmm. When you do yoga, you are literally bringing your organs out, and you're giving yourself a deep internal massage through the stretching and the twisting and the breathing. And we hold issues in our tissues. That's why so many people have neck issues, or
that's a great way of saying it. I don't think I've ever heard that. We hold issues in our tissues.
Yes.
Yeah, there's another book that Hillary's been reading called The Body Keeps Score, something like that.
It's very good, yeah.
Yeah, that our bodies are absorbing the trauma, the emotional trauma, the stuff that's happening to us. Our body remembers, and so having it have an outlet is what you're saying. Give me
chills. Right? Yeah, they give me chills. Exactly, that's exactly what we're doing. Where the pain, the adversity, the trauma that we've lived through, we've absorbed so much of it, and we need to get it out, and not get it out in a way like go pick up a drink or smoke a cigarette or yell at our family members, and not through anger, aggression, or self-inflicted pain. And right. I know all about all of those things. Trust me, I did them all when I didn't know how to channel or get this off of me, the heaviness. Yeah. But many of us have neck issues. Our shoulders are up to here, or tight shoulders, tight neck, tight hips, back issues, this, that, the other thing. And it's because we're just holding it all. Yeah. So when you get on your mat and you work your body, in a beautiful way, you release the trauma, you release all of that, and you begin to find, more gratitude. When you're in pain and you're suffering, or you have all this turmoil up here, it's really hard to be grateful for all the amazing, beautiful things you have in your life, and we're easily triggered. If we have pain in the body and our mind is constantly going, our kids can anger us like that. Yep. And that's why the girls would put the mat near the door, because they were like, she's so happy. They even said, Mom, you don't scream anymore. And so, it does something to our minds. It brings calmness. Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. There's almost like the physical movements are helping you get out of your head and focus and just be in this present moment, right? And exactly. And allow you to connect with your soul, which is how, I think about it, that we connect with God. And I get stuck in my head so easily. I tend to be like this future thinker. And so some people get stuck in the past. That's one way of going. I always go to the future, and how are we going to get there? How's this going to play out? And so I'm constantly retraining my mind to be still, to let it go, to be in this present moment. And it seems like yoga really helps that. It's all about the present moment. Yeah. So it's all about the present moment. There's this beautiful analogy about a lake. So when we're first born, we refer to ourselves as this beautiful lake, pristine lake, clear waters. We are so close to God. Everything is beautiful, clean. Our lake is pure, body, vessel, mind, spirit, everything, heart's clean. And as we begin to make our way through life, our personal lake begins to get cluttered, debris, choppy waters, murky waters, and the lake just gets filled with toxins and debris. And what yoga does is it cleanses the debris out. It cleanses all, the garbage out, and it calms the waters, which is the churning of the mind. And what you see back is your own reflection. You can see back that spirit that is inside of you, and you can form a beautiful connection with God because you let all of those things go.
Tell us a story about that. You mentioned to me a little bit ago a glimpse of a story of someone who came to you and they had maybe a total misconception about yoga, but they discovered that that's how they connected to God. Like they were having difficulty connecting. One of those stories. I know you've got lots of them.
There's a ton. Well, this was a beautiful family that lives with me in Newport Beach, and they had always sent their children to religious schools, and one of their daughters was having a really hard time, finding an intimate connection, a personal experience with God. And she was going off into drugs and alcohol and massive tattoos everywhere and all this stuff. And her dad would bring her into yoga, and they would do yoga together. And, he never pushed anything onto her with yoga, but she felt a connection to it. And then about a couple of years later, she wrote me this beautiful letter basically telling me that she's been into these, these schools her parents had put her in since she was like 5 years old. And, it was kind of something where they wanted her to have this connection with God, and she never had it until she started her practice at Radiant Hot Yoga. And she found this connection and this personal experience with God there. And so, yoga, for me, that is ultimately what it is. It's a deep connection to God. For me, when I'm doing my yoga practice meditation, it's a prayer.
Say more about that. That for you, it's kind of like an hour-long prayer. You're aligning your...
Well, I pray all throughout the day with everything I do. Yeah. But for that, it's like I have an opportunity to connect deeper. And there's something powerful that happens, I think, whenever we are around salt water, so the ocean, sweating, crying, we release. We're able to move deeper. Yeah. And so for yoga, it has two of those components. Many times I'm sweating, and oftentimes you move into a posture and you just start crying and you don't know why. And I believe that's when we release those issues that we've stored in our tissues and we have those breakthroughs. And, if you're with a teacher who is heart-centered and she brings you back to gratitude and love, that you feel grateful for everything you have. You feel grateful for your family and your friends and the roof over your head and, the bicycle you rode there, or the car you took to get there, or whatever it is. And you feel grateful for the air outside and the trees and the birds. And you start really connecting to everything. And you realize that those things that we take for granted are so big and so beautiful and so important that we cherish them. And we spend time, really realizing what a miracle this all is. It's so beautiful. Yeah. But when we get out of the thinking mind, either the past or the future, and we sit in the present, that's when we can look up at that big, beautiful sky and be in awe, or look into the eyes of someone we love and have so much gratitude and appreciation, and play with our children and feel joy in our hearts. So for me, that's what yoga is all about.
Would you recommend someone who maybe has never done yoga or hasn't done it in a while, and they're interested in kind of putting their toe in the water or getting into it, should they kind of start once a week, maybe twice a week? Is it ideal, like a shorter thing every day?
No, I always say, like, if you want to come just for the physical, if you just you're like, my back hurts, I'm having hip issues, or, this 3 times a week minimum, But like anything, it's like a muscle. The more you work it, the stronger it's going to get with anything. And I'm sure, even with prayer, right? The more you pray, you become a prayer warrior. The more you meditate, you can hold that meditation for longer. So the more you do yoga, the deeper you're going to go. So if you strengthen that muscle. So 3 times for basic, 3 times is very...
Just got to do it.
But 5 times is definitely recommended. 5 times. Even if you do something it's called the sun salutation, every morning, or, something like that. But, I recommend it. Obviously 3 to 5 times a week. And then yoga becomes something more. So you're still practicing yoga even off the mat. when you're finding gratitude. So there's many styles of yoga, literally hundreds of styles of yoga,
Really?
hundreds. And one style of yoga is just the practice of gratitude. If you walk around, I'm grateful for this tree, and I'm grateful for this cat, and I'm grateful for those flowers, and I'm grateful for this, and thank you organs. I'm grateful for my heart. I'm grateful for my lungs. I'm grateful for my thyroid. Just going around having that gratitude. And that's a form of yoga.
Yeah.
So if you can't make it to your mat, practice that.
Yeah. Just walk around, be grateful for everything. Be great. It helps you in the present, right? It helps you get out of your head and into the present. Kind of focuses your mind. And when we're gratitude, when we're grateful to our God, who's the giver of all these good gifts. And so that's that connection deal too. And okay, so you own these studios. And you own them and work them with your 2 daughters that you have mentioned.
Yes.
And you've had them in there for years. Like they've kind of come up in this thing. They run the show with you. They're in it with you. It sounds amazing. Say a little bit more about that and how fulfilling it is to be able to own a business and run it with your daughters.
It's super fulfilling. It's amazing. I couldn't have asked for a better life. I mean, we had a very hard, challenging life. And I feel like this practice of yoga and devoting my life to being of service to people changed the course of my life. I went from having so much adversity, so much pain, scary times, to saying, okay, that's it. I'm handing it over to you, God, and I'm going to be of service, and use me. I want to be a vessel of your love and your light every day. And that was my prayer every morning. Let me be a vessel of your love and your light. I'm a service to you, God. Just show me the way. And my children and I, that's what we devoted our lives to. And so it's been amazing because we're so connected and we have so much love. And I feel just beyond blessed to be able to work with them, be with them. Like I said, we're so close. And it's just been like, I mean, everyone has ups and down days, but we definitely, our highlights are, we always have amazing days. And, if we're not feeling it, you go in the room, you practice some yoga, you come out, you're feeling grateful. You're like, what was I even upset about? I love you. I'm so happy. People come in all the time. They're like, people tell me they feel so much love from Radiant. It's like you walk in, no matter what's going on, you have so much love. It just fills the air.
Well, I'm inspired because you are, you come from some challenging things, like you said, and you rallied and you started your own business. You brought your girls into this business. You have built a business that is effectively serving people. You're being rewarded for it. So you're earning an income. You're employing your daughters. You're doing this together and you're serving people. And then you didn't just do it one time. You have a studio in Newport and in Irvine. Right. Down the road, you might have more. You've built this online or on-demand thing. You're an entrepreneur. You hustle. You know what you're doing. You're a businesswoman.
I don't know what I'm doing. God knows what I'm doing.
But how did you like begin to view yourself as a businesswoman and say, I can do this. I'm going to take out a lease and I'm going to buy reformers. No, that was what my wife would do with Pilates. Right. I'm going to buy mats. I'm going to get this hot yoga ventilation thing figured out. I'm going to like, those are big risks. What gave you the strength and the courage to take those big risks and to believe that you could do this? I think
it's a calling.
Felt an inner calling.
Yeah. Because I've always been connected to my spirituality. I've always been connected to God, no matter what's happened in my life, the severe challenges. I know what's going on. I'm always praying. And I just kept following the signs. And the more I followed the signs, and this other thing, when you follow the signs, if you're running into walls constantly and banging your head against the wall, that means go the opposite direction. Just period. It just does. Because I feel like when you're being, divinely guided, things will flow easier. And then you just have to take time to sit with yourself and be like, is this flowing naturally? Do I feel like I'm being divinely guided? Or is this my ego trying to get something done? And am I trying to power through this? And those are the two different things. I've tried to power through many things in my life with my ego, and it got me absolutely nowhere but more pain and suffering. But when I asked to be divinely guided and I follow flow, then doors open where once there were just walls. And so following that, staying in prayer, asking, I believe we have to ask to receive, asking for guidance and believing that you will receive the guidance. And that's how it got started. I mean, there's not much to it besides I wanted to give my children a beautiful life and I wanted to be of service and heal us. And I thought, well, if I could heal the children and my children and I, then we can heal anybody, because we were really bad at place.
Well, I want to have you on again in the future when we can dig into that a little bit more. You have a book that you're writing.
Yes.
And so we're not going to dig into the details of your story. But down the road, maybe revisit it.
Of course.
When that book is ready and out, and
to coming back, doing more yoga, and maybe getting you on the mat.
I'll get on that mat. I don't think that anybody wants to see me on the mat in the video, but I'll get on the mat. I'll be doing it. So one of the things that I'm grateful to you for is that you are in our house. You recorded all day today. Videos so that we could have these yoga workouts for the Spirit Farm membership community. And now you said 3 or 5 times a week, we're going to be giving people these workouts, and a lot of them are going to be yours and your yoga workouts, and they can rewatch them every day of the week and keep doing that workout. And then the next week, we'll get them a new one, and the next week a new one. But you are going to be going into people's homes via this Spirit Farm channel.
An honor, right?
And it's awesome. I'm really excited about it personally, but I'm really excited about it for my friends and our community, that we can begin to practice, like with our bodies, what we talk about, which is body, mind, heart, and soul, and coming into alignment.
Yeah, but there's 3 great videos. So one, something you can do, Rise and Shine, it's called, to get your body moving. But you really do that at any time. Middle of the day, doesn't need to be morning. Another one was that Rest and Release. As well, you can do that anytime. The only one I wouldn't recommend at night was the Shape Your Body, Shape Your Mind, because it's a little more intensity. But that's great if you want to push yourself and challenge yourself. Like I tell my students all the time, just like with life, when life is easy, that's not when we learn. It's not when we grow. It's through the adversities. It's through the falling on our knees. It's through the asking, knowing that we don't want to have control of it. We want to hand it over, but sometimes we have to be challenged. So, doing the video that I did with the challenge is good, because that's when you have breakthroughs. And so
pushing yourself.
Yeah.
Going
you have
beyond
to be willing
your comfort
to push
zone,
yourself. Yes.
Digging into a little bit more.
Yeah, so lean into all of them and enjoy them.
Even if it's a little bit awkward, like it will be for me.
Yes.
The body doesn't quite bend probably, but I have done yoga in the past, and I have thoroughly enjoyed it. I've gotten out of the habit, but I'm excited to get back into the habit. So, I'm gonna do the soon as they come out, soon as they hit, soon as they're live, I'm going to be on it. I'm going to be doing it.
Well, I'm so grateful to be here. Thank you. And be part of Spirit Farm, because it's absolutely amazing what you're doing. And thank you for being a light to people. Yeah,
thank you. And then maybe one day we'll team up on some retreats too.
I love retreats. Yes.
Yeah, you've done some yoga retreats internationally, right?
Mm-hmm. We usually do between 3 and 5 a year. I've been doing them for 7 years. So I've taken hundreds and hundreds of people around the world. I love it. It's one of my favorite. It's actually I feel it's one of my favorite things to do, because people let go of all the armor that they're putting up, to
all the facade, all the projection.
Yes, the hats they're wearing, the mask they put on, and all of a sudden you get to really see who they are, and you can really work with that. And there's some really deep healing, and there's some really deep letting go on these retreats that sometimes you just can't do it when you're in your comfort zone and you're so used to getting up every day and just like you put your pants on, gonna put your hat on, your mask on, your armor on. Okay, let me go out to the world and face, whether it's my mother-in-law or, my boss that drives me nuts, or my coworker, like you're geared up, right? But when we take you on these faraway destinations, you let go of all of that. Yeah. And all of a sudden you're like this childlike innocence, hearing new languages and foreign tones, and you're in a state of wonder. And then now it's when I can really get deep and work on stuff that couldn't work on here. So they're super transformational. And I'm always like so honored to guide them and to be part of it. So I would love to, collaborate with something like that. It'd be amazing.
That'd be awesome. One of the things I've learned teaching adults for a lot of years now is that we learn best through disorienting experiences, right? So things that are out of our norm, out of our routine. So that's why going to other places and getting out of our normal patterns is really effective, because it jolts us, and we are a little bit more childlike, a little bit more open, a little bit more like Bambi, kind of like exploring and learning. And I think that for some people listening to this podcast or watching this video, yoga will be that for them. It'll be a little bit different. It'll be new and disorienting. And so hopefully they will jump in and they will do yoga with you, and they will push themselves and be uncomfortable and see what God does as they line up, get aligned, get healthy. And you're a joy to watch and to be in this with and to be guided by. So I'm grateful to have you a part of things, excited for what's in your future. And thanks again for doing this.
My absolute pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Darlene.